Welcome back to the show. We got another great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $3.0 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's up 0.8%. I know, I'm just as shocked as you are. Bitcoin 94,700 plus. We were just at 82,000 Bitcoin just a day or so ago. 1,700 plus for Ethereum now. XRP at the number 4 spot, $2.20. We see that we're up 1.7 on the 24 and up 6% on the 7-day. Look at the range of price, ranging between 216 and 223. We will keep an eye on it. We have some great information we're going to lay out today, including excerpts from Monica Long, the president of Ripple. You're going to want every single bit of all of this. But let me tell you something. I talked about this yesterday, but very quickly, for all my friends out here that are connected to financial service providers such as banks, credit unions, trust companies, advisors, family offices, broker dealers, listen, they're all exploring the opportunity of digital assets, and iTrustCapital has an amazing new offering. Look, I tell you, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, which I am and have been for years, I can tell you this: you don't build the scale into your company, you buy it. And that's exactly what iTrustCapital is set up here. It is a turnkey offering that enables financial services providers to launch tax-advantaged crypto IRAs and non-IRA custodial accounts with integrated buy and sell functionality, liquidity, and institutional grade storage ready in weeks, not months or years. This is at iTrustCapital, and all you have to do is email them partnerships@itrustcapital.com. I'm going to put the link underneath the video. Don't mess around. This is going to be an offer that I'm telling you, you're going to see tons and tons of these banks and credit unions seeking out the iTrust of the world to get this done. Make sure you follow up on that. Now let's take a look here. It's XRP Las Vegas and the agenda's out. Can I do it real quick? Look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to run through this very quickly here. Friday, opening remarks, and then we have EZA, Dom and Phil Kwok. $25,000 in prizes are going to be given away to the best project or idea from a developer and builders. These prizes will be spread out for the best ideas, so make sure you bring your best project to the fore. And here we see the builders we need: community creativity, XRP Ledger Frontier, First Ledger XRP Cafe co-founder Adam Kagi and Vet, and then along with some tokens that are launched on the First Ledger, which is Sigma and Salute. Shout out to them. And then we see this Executive AMA Uphold CEO. Then we have this iTrustCapital. As I just told you, they're expanding, offering great new services. Securing Wealth Crypto Planning Exit Strategy, Caleb and Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, we just worked out a deal. Go open your free account, xrpwealth589.com, and get that human customer service that you can't get at any other platform. No question about it. And then it moves on here. We know that we're going to feed you. We're going to feed you real good too, by the way. And then we got the difference between physical gold and digital gold. This is going to be a remarkable panel with all the top industry leaders from the gold area sector, which would be Jason Cousins from Glint, Miles Franklin, Andy Scheckman, Lynette Zhang, and Paul Barron will be moderating that panel. The ripple effect, ladies and gentlemen, legal challenges. This is DCI Group, Kevin Ivers, and Paul Barron will be moderating that as well. You'll know Kevin from Crypto Law. Yes, you will. Look, this list goes on and on. Then we have John Deaton here. Then we have Crypto at a Crossroads. This is the huge legal panel we do every year with Cody Carbone from the Digital Chamber, James Meta Lawman Murphy, John E. Deaton, and Eleanor Terrett. Listen, it's all day, 2 days, solid, packed like this. The Digital Dollar Project co-founder, Christian Carlo, on stage with myself. Digital Chambers, Cody Carbone, now the president, sitting with Eleanor Terrett. The list goes on and on. I will break it down Saturday on the next video, but this is the rest of Friday here where you have David Schwarz to finish out the day for a fireside chat with Vet. I'm telling you, don't mess around and get your ticket, please. Look, yes, the ticket costs a price, and so does putting on the event. But I'll tell you what, you know what the greatest cost is? Regret. That's the greatest cost. Make the investment into yourself and come and understand why it's so important to be at these events. Here we see Kevin OLeary, and I'm going to graduate through these clips here. I think you're going to love it. But let's listen to what he says very quickly here about digitization of North American economy.
All right, Kevin, you are going to be with us at Consensus next month, May 14th to 16th in Toronto. Give me a little preview as to what you're going to be talking about. I know you're doing a keynote, and then you have a talk called Crypto's Next Chapter.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people are asking me about the digitization of the North American economy. And I'm bringing that to the table. I mean, there's been so much change to how business is done, including crypto creeping into it. But it's more about why is the S&P 500 margins higher than pre-pandemic? Why in private companies in North America, Canada, and the United States have margins grown from 15 to 17.5%? What happened? What happened to the economy when you would have thought the pandemic would have wiped out so many of these businesses, and it didn't happen? And so I'm going to walk through a bunch of case studies of companies, some within my own portfolio, others. These are not academic studies. These are real companies that maneuvered their way from a Nike through to a small, 500 employee company through this remarkable 4-year period. And we are in a new place now. And the direct consumer market is a multi-trillion-dollar business worldwide. All kinds of strategies have emerged, and the digital payment systems are going to be a huge part of this. So I want to encompass all of that in my keynote. I mean, I've really been working.
Yeah, all right. We don't need the keynote. Yeah, he knows what's coming. He goes on to say it too, but it's all about the digitization, and he's specifically focused on what? He is focused on that going to consumer, right? Which is the hardest leg to jump, but he knows that the infrastructure is already in place and large. So he's looking to make that next step. I tell you, now here is, oh, you're going to like it. This is the IMF World Bank sitting down and talking about the fact that they need to call for a new digital payment rails, just like Kevin OLeary's focused on. That's all it is. Just new payment rails, ladies and gentlemen. Just the IMF, not a YouTuber or podcaster. The IMF and the World Bank.
Well, I think, so from our perspective, of course, we are looking at digital payments as a means to an end.
Yeah,
so
I bet.
The end we are looking for is financial inclusion and the development outcomes. And for that, we don't see CBDC as a panacea.
Yeah.
They don't see CBDC as a panacea, right, which is a solution for everybody. And I'm glad to hear that from the World Bank and the IMF.
A lot of people kind of attribute magical powers to CBDC. Yeah. We don't subscribe to that. And of course, whether it is a good fit for a country depends on the context. No? But largely from a developing country perspective, what we need is well-functioning digital payment systems. And we don't see any reason why fast payments cannot provide that. And also general modernization of the digital payment system. But whether it is competition, I think one has to really see how all of this plays out. I think one needs to see there's perhaps a space for all, and it might be different use cases or different contexts. But focusing from our perspective on the development needs in developing economies, we feel the first order of business is to have a well-functioning fast payment system. But of course,
he's absolutely right. And you know what? Let's stay with that. Because what do we see? The Federal Reserve just made one of the biggest crypto-related announcements, and lots of you are asking why it's so important, and here's why. Too long didn't read? Banks can now treat crypto like any other banking service. Banks permitted to engage in crypto. Banks don't need crypto pre-approval. Effectively kills Operation Choke Point. expect banks to race to offer crypto and stablecoin related products to their clients. Big steps towards crypto mass adoption as the Federal Reserve Board announces the withdrawal of guidance for banks related to their crypto assets and dollar token activities and related changes to its expectations for these activities. So this is a huge unlock moment, right? And obviously, I'm sure there's still a few more things to go, but this is a huge boot coming off of the back of the neck of cryptocurrency. And it is massively exciting. And, you know, look, I mean, this is what we're seeing. Now, here's what's happening all in tandem. All of this is happening together. This is not mutually exclusive news. All of this goes hand in hand.
Of the Bretton Woods institutions. Yet everywhere we look across the international system today, we see imbalance. The good news, it doesn't have to be this way.
Listen.
My goal this morning is to outline a blueprint to restore equilibrium to the global financial system and the institutions designed to uphold it.
That is the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and he has hit the ground running with a "we need a reset" narrative, and not the global reset from the World Economic Forum either. This is a Trump nationalist reset. And you know what? Now let's hear. This is a great interview right here with President of Ripple, Monica Long. Shout out to you, Monica, for this clip. You shared the whole interview. I couldn't find it, and I'm so glad that she shared it. All right, but what I want to do, because I'd love to play the whole thing, but it's very long, but I want to go in here specifically for the point of this. We know Real USD is set to have a massive impact on the financial industry and institutions, correct? Yes. How do we know that? Because of the Hidden Road acquisition. We knew it beforehand, but we certainly know it now, right? But what I want to do is let her explain, when she's asked, the difference between Real USD and XRP. And I know there's a lot of people that have very real concerns about this, and I think she's about to put them to sleep.
Is entering that market through primarily centralized exchanges as the distribution endpoints. Our bet is really on the institutional side. So within payments, within our payment flows in particular, and then, you know, the set of capital markets use cases where, you know, the Hidden Road team's really expert at all of that. And so we're excited to see, what comes from the new marriage.
Just real quick before she answers the question about Real USD versus XRP, remember what she said. We're really focused on the institutional side. Stay with me on that. Don't forget that part.
I mentioned at the start about XRP as well, Monica. What's the relationship here between XRP, Ripple, and your stablecoin? Because some of your cross-border payments products traditionally did use XRP, still use XRP as a means of exchange in that process. But you also now have the stablecoin. What's the need for XRP if you've got the stablecoin?
Yes. So XRP, it serves, serves a couple different roles to explain. Within the blockchain, the XRP ledger, it's the native asset. So you need it for gas fees. You need it for the reserve account minimum. And so as there's more users and more use cases built on XRP ledger, that asset will always be needed. Secondly, we were talking about how when the ledger was first invented, it was novel in that it had this decentralized exchange built into it. Within that exchange, which, you know, a lot of the focus from our team is on bringing developers onto the ledger who have use cases for transactions in that exchange. But if a trading pair doesn't have liquidity between it, it auto bridges. It goes between XRP for efficiency, speed, and cost.
Hello.
So that will be increasingly important use case as more activity comes to the blockchain.
Interesting.
But we still do use it, as part of our payments offering. So it's kind of dependent on customer use case.
Yeah, and it is very interesting. Listen, it's going to get real exciting when you start to see this auto bridging for these long tail pairings that it will absolutely find through the algorithm. It won't have to we missed that one. That's not going to happen. It has the privilege of being looked at every transaction at whether it could serve best. If not, it'll go another route. But that's great. That's the way it should go. So super exciting things, because we know that they did just acquire Hidden Road, right? All right, well, listen to this clip.
Important. Yeah, and you mentioned Hidden Road earlier, the acquisition. Yeah. I think you spent 1.25 billion on that. Yes. Is that an indication that Ripple's going to be more acquisitive going forward now? Yes. Good. So we can expect some more M&A to come.
Yes, more exciting things for sure. I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, I think 1.25 billion marks it as one of the largest in crypto history. Being a crypto company, we stand alone as being an owner of a non-bank prime broker.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Hidden Road, like, I'm so bullish on having this tight, like, under one roof partnership at this point between a company that serves like hundreds of the highest volume trading financial institutions with our business, where we can be more of the blockchain tech infrastructure. And for them, I mean, they do $3 trillion annually. Revenue is super healthy, 100 million plus, and they can now get more risk capital using our balance sheet, so they can also grow their business exponentially.
And I have to ask you, maybe not in the current market, but I have to ask you about an IPO at some point. You know, Brad has said to me in the past, when the SEC issues are done, we can start thinking about an IPO. Maybe is an IPO in the cards for Ripple at any point soon?
At this moment, we have a lot of liquidity, so we do have billions of dollars cash on the balance sheet. We're in a really healthy position. We're in an acquisitive position, as you put it. So we're really just focused on growing the business as we are now.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Look, one of the things I was asking you is, look, the institutional side, right? Think about, where is all the money of the world currently right now as we're talking? It's in the financial system. It's locked up in the financial system. Well, we're about to settle $3 trillion of that with the real USD and the XRP where applicable with the auto bridging, right? But it was said to us in the first Ripple Swell conference, all the real money, as big as big as Bitcoin can get, that's great. That's fantastic. Let it. But the real money is locked up in the repositories of the world. And some of those repositories are like Hidden Road.
I mean, ultimately, as you know, Ripple is really focused on how do we enable an internet of value? How do we make value move the way information moves today? And that's our big kind of multi-year, 10-year view of how the world will evolve. And it's really how do we dial that back and to make it tactical and real today and tomorrow. And I think if you want to enable an internet of value, you've got to connect the repositories of value. Right. And the repositories of value, as big as the Bitcoin value proposition is today, the banks own trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of assets. So if we want to enable an internet of value, we've got to connect the banks and payment service providers and MSBs. And we're excited to have made a bunch of progress on that. So
that's what we're talking about. And that was the mission in 2017. And I tell you, at 2025, standing here, watching all of this information, I'd say that they are knocking it out of the park. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the Freedom Zone, and you can join us too. Just click the join button underneath it at any title of the videos, or go to the description box and join us in the Patreon group. It's the same thing. It's the same price, 2 different places, wherever you're most comfortable, but you get all the daily videos with 0 Google ads plus extra content that we're getting into right now. Again, not financial advice from me or anyone else. Come on in. All right, welcome.